and it's basically the gameplay in this one is how it goes. It's like how one went, you're far away yet alone. Two went, you're claustrophobic and there's noise, and three went, you are dipped in so much shit you don't know what to do with it. And it's like crazy. It's like it tempts you. Like there's moments in the game where you're like, what the fuck is that shit, and do I want to touch it? And you basically have to touch it in the end, but it tempts you. It's like do I just, eh, you end up touching it either way, but it tempts you when you first play it, and it kind of brings out the sickening mind aspect. But the only okay, so how three works is Heather's powers can because the powers are all gone, but the only way Heather's projecting these powers is because basically she still has the demon inside her. She's reincarnated, but the demon is still inside her. But she's never experienced it because what it takes to trigger the demon's power is hatred or an excruciating amount of pain. And so that's what her sister slash whatever the fuck that other lady is to her. I'm guessing sister. Um, I'm guessing sister because she's so sister, but she's reincarnated baby. Um, she keeps damaging Heather's mind with all this bullcrap about her father being dead and all the gloomy stuff. And so Heather ends up projecting the world. And the world basically projects around the person. Like the fat guy from 2, his not fear, but his punishment was basically fat sacks of meat just sitting there torturing him, taunting him. And that's how his was. But Alyssa's is kind of different. I like Alyssa's whole projection. Like when she did it in 1, it's more of a barbed wire, rust, blood kind of stuff, and that's what really shapes the movie more than the actual game. Like the game is really shaped good around it, but that's what shapes the movies and the games further on nowadays, which really brings nothing to the table because it's not of something fresh. Because every time they did Silent Hill, it's something fresh and different. It's not like you feel like you're playing the same game. Yeah, you're still getting shared shitless, and it's called Silent Hill, but it's skitless. But you're still getting a different kind of story, different setting, different feeling. The weirdest thing I've ever seen in Silent Hill 3 was that you can use a machine gun, which is really weird. Because I remember in 1 and 2, the best you could get was a handgun and maybe a shotgun. And let's see, in 3, basically, she's fucking with your mind. The demon gets actually before the demon gets reincarnated. Okay, so this is what I forgot to leave out. I left out in 1. So how James defeats Samael the first time is because the guy, the priest, I think it was a priest or a hospital director. I think it was a hospital director. He basically had this. I think it starts with an A. It's basically a red liquid, and he threw it at the witch bitch lady from the cult. And while the witch lady was basically transforming Samael or getting some powers or some shit, Samael was came out and he was like, "Oh, fight me," and you're just like, "Okay, I'll fight you." But Heather had this necklace from her father that basically had that same liquid but turned into stone, and that's what she. I don't think she. What did she use it? I think she used it to bring out the demon out of her, or out of her sister, because she was basically gonna give birth to a sister. I mean, to not her sister. How would you give birth to your sister? That's gross. Incest.
Sounds kinky.
Incest. Anyways, she was gonna give birth to the demon, and she basically spat out what the demon was gonna like I don't know, which her eggs or whatever bullshit. She spat out the demon, and her sister was like, "You don't want to do it? I'm gonna do it. Eat." And she basically swallowed that demon and reincarnated into herself. And as it was reincarnating, I think she hit it with that jewel that she had. That was basically the destroy all fucking evil bullshit. And then you have to fight Samael again, I think. Yeah, pretty much. Fight Samael again. Because what Silent Hill is in a Silent Hill without a boss battle? And go on with your glorious day. So that's how it ends. Basically, Silent Hill ends there, like the story progression. When they made 4, 4 was called The Room for a reason because as okay, 4 basically goes back into 1 when 1 was going in motion. It's kind of like a side story where the bitch lady from the cult, she basically found this child, or the child was given to an orphanage, and she took him out of the orphanage. That's how they were doing their cult shit and raising the childs to believe in, we do this, we do that. This is the will of God. Really, it's the will of the demons. We tell, and like that guy never knew his mother as a kid. So she was like, okay, you can learn the seance, which really wasn't seance. She said it was a prayer, I think somewhere around that line. And she was like, do this and you can see your mother again. And he's like, oh, yay, because he's like fucking 9. I want to see my mom. And I forget what happens. Basically, I think he was a backup plan just in case Alessa failed. But it never got around to that. I don't remember the story in 4 because I haven't really played it. I've only seen about like summaries about it because I could never find 4 to play. But basically how it happens is it's all in his mind. It's showing how he was innocent in the beginning and how he came out to be like a mass murderer at the end. But basically another vision of projecting thyself in your own mind. And it has really, that's about it. And the only reason it's really there is to bring up the occult again. And it's pretty good. Like, a lot of people like it, but I think 3 and 2 were about the best ones. Because when they made 1, they had all 8 directors. When they made 2, they had 2 directors. 2 or 1 director is missing. And when they made 3, they replaced the directors. And then they went with the same directors. But basically, they kept losing the original people who made the game, so it was getting more far off. But they understood that you don't do the same things over and over again because you'll get used to it. That's why every demon or every enemy in the game is different in every game because they're different projections. They understood that. But when it got down to Homecoming and Shattered Memories, which were the new ones that were coming out, so by the time part 4 ended, they disbanded the whole Silent team, and the only one there was the person who did the music, and he was the overseer, right? And right. I think after 4 was Homecoming. I'm pretty sure it was Homecoming, because what basically the guy basically was an overseer, but he didn't see shit of the game. And you knew this because he was like, oh yeah, Homecoming's, like they have actual footage from like, I think it was G4, and he's like talking Japanese, but the voiceover is like, oh yeah, the difference that makes this Silent Hill more interesting than the others is the backstory, he comes out from a city or somewhere else and he drives from this city into Silent Hill, which is way different than we done before. And it's like, dude, nuh-uh. You did that in 1, you did that in 2, and you did that in 3. There's no difference. Which makes you think, like, you really didn't project anything into Silent Hill. I mean, his music was amazing. That's what made the game. But he didn't really have much thought into it, I think. And how Homecoming was is basically off of the movie, because that's roughly, the movie came out in 06, I think, and Homecoming came out in 08. But when the movie came out, they got the shittiest guy to make the movie that I've ever seen or heard of. He was basically like, I want nothing but women, and they were like, no, you can't have this. he was like, they literally told him, you have to have at least one guy in the movie that's like a main character or a semi-main character. And he was like, okay. He puts in the guy, the husband, and he names the husband after him. What a dick. Anyways, like when he was being interviewed, he was like, "Oh yeah, my favorite." For some reason, they all go off of Silent Hill 2, which is why the series is going down, because we've seen Silent Hill 2 already. It's oh, we have this memory, but we lost it. Let's go find it, and that's all they're getting from 2, and the monsters and the fact that the world changes, but they're not grasping the story about like the occult, the summoning of the demon. Because what does he do? Oh, this is about witches and witchcraft. In the end, this movie's just about witches. That's literally what he said. It's about witches, which has nothing to do with Silent Hill. I mean, yeah, they're occults, but it's not, yeah, witchcraft, but they're basically into the summoning of the god. And this guy's like, oh, burn the witch. He's making Alessa feel like the evil person, and the occult to be like good in some manner. But a lot of people don't like the movie because they have Pyramid Head, and Pyramid Head is a projection of James, and it makes no sense to put him in the movie because he cannot be a projection of anything else. I mean, I guess he could be a projection of Alessa, but Alessa, it goes off of the demon's nightmares that's supposed to like go in with hers, but it's basically the world just changes out of nowhere and fuck it happens. Which, exactly. And there is no reasoning for the little girl to actually go to Silent Hill, because the only semblance they have is they look alike. That is the only reason the little girl actually goes to Silent Hill. She had nothing calls her, nothing forces her. The mom just decides to take her there, and oh look, we're gonna use your little girl as a sacrifice. And they tried to put a little bit of one story into it where it was like, oh, the town caught on fire. Okay, so you remember how in the movie they were like, oh, the coal mines burn, and they keep burning?
Yeah.
There is no coal mines in Silent Hill at all. That's why when I was watching, I was like, there's a coal mine. But there is none at all. There's like a lake. And like, you know, the regular fair shit and stuff. But there is no coal mine at all. And they're like, oh yeah, the coal mines keep burning. Kid got tossed in there, whatever. That's complete bullshit. Made up by the guy. I like that he brought new monsters into it, like those babies. I think they're called gray babies. That was interesting to see, and I liked that. But other than that, it had nothing to do with the story. It was basically, that's a witch. That's a witch. Oh, look, a witch. Witch. Witch.
Oh, the gray babies. You talking about the part at the beginning?
Yeah. Where it's all screaming at her face, and then she passes out and wakes up in some random place.
Like, can that even hurt somebody? Little things.
That it's hard to say because like they're not in any game, which is why I was like, oh yeah, new monster. But the fact that they kept bringing back Pyramid Head pisses people off, and the fact that it has nothing to do with any kind of story at all. And they ended with a Twilight Zone ending, which was like, oh, she made it out, but guess what? She's in another dimension, which makes no sense because it's when so this is how they see it. You have the real world, right? Then you have the fog world. Then you have the dark world, which is the other world. And then you have regular Silent Hill world, which makes complete, utter no fucking sense. But here's how it actually is. I mean, it makes sense, but it doesn't make sense towards Silent Hill, because how Silent Hill is real world and dark world happen in the same timeline. There is nothing that creates another dimension, because it's all poltergeist shit. It's all projected. There is nothing to do with, you know, different dimensions at all.